We've got two Poudre School District programs in a row here, and we kind of flip-flop those. And I can't see everybody on my screen today. I've got something locked up on my screen. So I think Earl Smith is here, right?
Yep.
Okay. And it shows that Matt Bryant's also here. We got two speakers today going to do this together. And I can't see Matt, but I know he's here. I've been texting him back
I
and
saw
forth.
you had called. I'm in a Rotary meeting, but yeah, what's up?
So is
No
Matt
problem.
here?
Yes, I am here.
No
Okay.
problem. Go ahead.
So I'm going to turn it over to both of you, and whoever's going to actually show the PowerPoints, the slides on their computer. We can do that. So who's going to do that?
Yeah.
Well, I think Earl's going to take the most of the presentation.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Because
Now
he's got the experience and the knowledge, and you don't want to hear me talk about any of this because I'll get it all wrong, and then you'll be confused about which one you're looking at. So
Earl, I'm going to let you give your bio because I don't have a bio on you right now, and I know you're the head guy out there. So let you give a little bit on your bio.
Okay.
And Matt,
Yeah, those are the
when you
folks that are
speak,
pretty
Matt's the
trashy, right?
Executive Director of Operations.
Yeah.
He's been doing that
So, I mean, what's
since June
what's
of
their reasoning
2019.
behind taking down the trees?
And he covers a number of different areas, child nutrition, facility
They
services,
want to.
communication services, transportation, planning, and security. But we're going to hear about some of the construction projects. And I originally brought them on to talk about the big project that's out at Timnath and the sports fields and things that are going on there. So Earl, I'll let you take it over.
Okay. Interesting.
JD, this is Earl Smith, and I'm the Director of Construction Services with Poudre School District. I've been in that capacity since December of 2018. I have a relatively small staff of 6 people. So
Earl, I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Hey, if Artie, can you mute? And for those of you who are
existing fencing.
Artie, Art, can you please mute?
You can mute him, Karen.
Okay, there. Okay,
got it.
Thanks. All right, Earl, please proceed.
No, not a problem. I have a small staff of project managers. There's a total of 6 of us in my department, and we manage all of the school district projects that were included in the 2016 bond election. And what I'm going to talk about today is kind of an overview of those projects. And by the way, I'm a CSU grad. I have my CSU shirt on. So I'm gonna try to share my screen, and hopefully this will go okay. Everybody see that?
Yep.
This is what we call a construction services update, and we give these to the Board of Education on a fairly regular basis, and we've also given these presentations to other groups as well. We'll start with the Wellington project. I'm going to walk through each project. Hopefully this won't take too long, but we'll get through it. And if anyone has questions, please feel free to ask. I tend to use acronyms and so forth on occasion, so if I say something that doesn't make sense, please raise your hand. The Wellington project is one of 2 prototype middle school high schools that was designed by RB&B Architects, along with a whole slew of sub-consultants. There's a very large team working on these projects. Our project delivery method is the construction manager general contractor. We commonly refer to that as CMGC. Adolphson Peterson is the contractor on both the Wellington and Prospect projects. We have a guaranteed maximum price of just over $118 million, and that includes the building and all the site work and roadways and so on and so forth. So one of the interesting features about this project is we are utilizing a geothermal energy source. So there are 190 wells drilled that are 450 feet deep. So that will serve as the backbone of our geothermal system. And we have those systems in many other schools, but all 3 of our brand new facilities utilize that technology. As I mentioned, the project also includes improvements to County Road 9 and County Road 62 adjacent to Wellington. At some point in the near future, the property will be annexed into the town of Wellington. It's currently in Larimer County right now, but will be annexed to Wellington. If you go out there today, you'll see a lot of vertical construction underway. There's precast concrete panels, masonry, and steel erection currently underway. The project is scheduled for completion in the fall of 22, and hopefully we'll have students back in the seats by that time and ready to go. This is a rendering of the new school. This is looking from the southeast toward the northwest. So you can see a darker brick and accents. This is an overview of the site. This is looking from the northeast to the southwest. And you can see in white the general shape of the school building, football field, baseball fields, and parking lots and so forth. So it's about 90 acres, this parcel is in particular, but we also have adjacent parcels for a future elementary school and a future middle school. Any questions about that project? Prospect is a similar school. Again, it was designed by RB&B Architects. Adolphson Peterson is under contract to construct that facility. We have a guaranteed maximum price of $134 million plus some change. So that'll be presented to the board next Tuesday, and hopefully that'll all go well. But they're pretty expensive projects. This one's a little higher than the Wellington projects. It's the same school, but this one also includes a new district stadium. If anyone's familiar with French Field, which is adjacent to Rocky Mountain High School, this will also serve as a district stadium similar to French Field. Again, geothermal is included in this project, as are improvements to Prospect and County Road 5. Right now, the bulk of the work is related to the site, parking lots, utilities, grading, and so forth. So there's a lot of machinery on the ground moving around, very active site. Also, if you have gone by the site recently, you've noticed that the Timnath Reservoir Inlet Canal was being buried. We placed that canal adjacent to the site in a 12x6 concrete box culvert. So it's now underground and buried, and that was in an agreement with the irrigation company. So that improved our site and made it a lot more usable. Again, this one's also anticipated for opening in the fall of 22. Here's another rendering of this building. You can see the similarities with the Wellington School. This has a lighter colored brick to it. This is a view from the southwest looking northeasterly. So this is again the front of the building, but they're virtually identical buildings, just different color scheme. This is a site plan. North is to the top. Prospect Road is on the bottom of the screen. County Road 5 to the east. You can see the new district stadium on the left on the far west side of the site. The location of the school building, parking lots, and ball fields. This isn't exactly accurate. There have been some things moved around, but in general, that's what's included in the project and what's under construction right now. Next project I wanted to talk about briefly is the Southeast Elementary School. It's located at Fairgrounds Boulevard and County Road 30 in the city of Loveland. I think that's our first school that that Poudre School District has constructed within the city of Loveland. And for reference, this is on the west side of Fairgrounds, a little bit north of the Budweiser Event Center. It was designed by HCM Architects. It's a 600 student preschool, kindergarten through 5 elementary school, just over 76,000 square feet. This is what we call a 4-track school. So each grade has 4 classes. So 4 classes of 25 students. kindergarten through fifth, which is where you come up with the 600 students. Sampson Construction was awarded this project for just over $25 million. Construction began in February of 2020, and we are now going vertical with construction, steel erection, and so forth. So that building's starting to take shape. The opening on this school will be the fall of 21, so a year earlier than the others. This is a floor plan of the school. You can see 3 wings. The floor plan on the left is the first floor. That is preschool, kindergarten, first and second grade, administration. To the north, that wing is a gymnasium and cafeteria. The floor plan on the right is the second floor, and that's the pods for third, fourth, and fifth grade. We also have some other projects underway. We're designing and about to go to construction on a new transportation facility. This is near and dear to Matt's heart, by the way, as Matt was a former transportation director before he became the executive director of operations. This building is being designed by Kaler Consulting Group. Adolphson Peterson is under contract to serve as our construction manager, general contractor. We have a guaranteed maximum price of just over $9.9 million. It will include the construction of 8 vehicle maintenance bays, offices, a driver lounge, bus dispatch, conference room, training room, so forth. It replaces a number of buildings that we have on site right now, and we'll consolidate those into one building. This one is anticipated for completion in fall of next year. Along with those large projects, we also have a whole list of other projects, and we affectionately call this the 40 million list. And it was funded to the level of $40 million. We will perform some type of work or improvement to all schools in the district and some support facilities. So we have over 50 schools that we'll work in. We've completed projects in well over 20 of those schools so far in the second summer of this program. The first wave of projects last year was primarily new furniture, and we placed new furniture in close to 30 schools last year, and that's a major operation. It was pretty impressive to watch. Current projects are in the design or construction phase in over 40 schools in the district. So those projects include new roofs, site work such as new concrete, asphalt paving, life safety improvements like fire alarm upgrades, new heating and ventilation systems. A lot of these schools were designed and built back in the day when we had a shorter school year, and we didn't deal with the heat at the beginning of the school year or at the end like we do these days. So we're going back now and making some retrofits to many of the schools. Flooring is a big deal, lots of carpet, new gym floors, and so forth, and then also improvements to athletic facilities. We have a project at Poudre High School and one at Fort Collins High School right now that we're replacing the synthetic turf field. We did the same at Fossil Ridge High School last summer. So lots of work going on there. I want to touch base on the energy efficiency briefly. You probably have heard the term LEED certification, and that's a energy efficiency, I guess, standard, if you will. Our new schools will not be LEED certified, but we are pursuing highly energy efficient schools. In fact, the 2 new middle school, high school projects both would rate out as a LEED Silver school. And I have a listing of the of the criteria down below. The new middle school, high schools have a rating of 26.8. Fossil Ridge High School, for example, which is a LEED Silver school, is rated at 48.3. Kennard Middle School, which is another very efficient school, is at 23. District average for all buildings is actually a rating of 59. So this was an issue with the board a few months ago, and so we addressed that issue by developing this information, and we're pretty proud of the fact that it's a LEED Silver schools, but we didn't have to go through the process. I mean, the intent is to develop some highly energy efficient buildings, and we've done that. So with that, that's the conclusion of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions for?
I have a question, if I may.
Yep, Chip, of course.
You're removing the old gymnasium floors. Are those going to be available for people to buy? The wood?
Oh, well, we're not actually removing any of those flooring. They're either refinishing or resurfacing the flooring. So yeah, we don't have any current projects right now that remove that wood. And I know where you're going with that, because that old maple and so forth is terrific stuff. But we don't have any of those type of projects right now.
I have a question. Are you redesigning any of the internal information technology strategies based on the COVID experience?
I'm going to punt that one to Matt because he's been involved in those discussions.
So just to ask you to ask that question again, so I make sure I can wrap my head around that.
Were you napping? Or what? Based on the COVID experience and remote learning and all of that, are you redesigning any of the information technology that's going to be built into these schools?
As far as being built into the schools, I don't think anything's related directly to the to COVID-19. I think we are realizing through this experience, though, that as a community, we're lacking in a lot of areas as far as having coverage for families and students. We're tackling that kind of head on with some mobile Wi-Fi units. I don't know if you've read in the paper, but we did put up some actually mobile units at strategic areas around town, actually using vehicles. We worked with the city with their capabilities and got a signal in some areas that didn't have any signal. And then currently, moving forward, since we're going to remote learning, we're issuing MiFi units, the little personal units that run on the cellular, to students that need that. But internally in the new buildings, I think mostly the IT, kind of the communication side is around the intercom system, going with some audio visual improvements and enhancements to where teachers can use an audio enhancement that picks up their voice in the room so that everybody in the room, especially larger rooms, can hear better. That would, to use that kind of a technology. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit broader. I think we all would hope this is our last pandemic, but there are those who say, no, this is just, we will have more. We've maybe been better prepared in prior instances of preventing the pandemic, but should we have another one? Are there changes in the design? Are you thinking about those in terms of being able to make changes in design that would incorporate the fact that we may have some ongoing need for social distancing and some different classroom configurations as it results to still allowing children to be in school even though we have a pandemic going on?
Sure. And to those that are saying we're going to have more pandemics, quit saying that. Let's don't go there. Yeah, but the reality is, yes, that we may be facing this in the in the future. What are we going to do? As far as these new buildings go, they were not designed with the pandemic in mind. These designs are a couple of 3 years old when we first began. I think what we're finding internally with PSD is how we're reacting to it. What do we need to do in our current design classrooms? I believe, Poudre School District, the families are fortunate in our schools. We have a lot of square footage compared to other school districts already built into our classrooms. We generally build our classrooms a little bit bigger and designed a little bit bigger than a lot of other standard classrooms in other school districts. And so that enables us to reconfigure the classrooms. The staff and that are going through that now with the hopeful potential reopening of schools here in a couple of months. So the staff is going through that now, taking measurements, looking to see what can be removed from rooms to make social distancing more available in the room. A lot of teachers, if you've ever visited an elementary classroom, they'll have reading centers and they'll have other things, in their rooms. And we may have to get to a point where we don't have all that in a room because we need that space for the social distancing. So moving through that process now as a staff, and hope, like I said, in preparation for that October opening is what we hope.
Okay.
I would agree with that. And these new school designs, there's a lot of open space and common spaces and an area that would allow for social distancing so that you can, the students can spread out and still have a nice learning experience.
One of the great things about our new designs, and it was probably hard to tell on the schematics that Earl had up, but each one of these new middle school, high schools has a learning park pretty much in the middle of the building. And it's a 2-acre learning park. And if you put your hands together like you were going to cup some water with your two hands, that's kind of the shape of the learning park. And so there's a story behind that as well. But those learning parks are going to be, very handy in instances like this, because we'll have the ability to have students secure within the building, but yet we have this outdoor space to where we can social distance and have different classrooms set up in those outdoor spaces. So hopefully in the future, that if we have to deal with this again, we'll find that that's a big asset to us.
Great, thank you.
I can see there's a couple of questions posted in the chat. Karen, to answer your question about the seating capacity of this new stadium, it's 3,500 spectators, and we waffled back and forth on that. It had gone from 6,000 to 2,500, and we're back up, we're right at 3,500 seats at this point. And it will be in addition to French Field. So we'll have 2 district stadiums that can be used by all schools within the district.
Great.
And then Ruth had a question concerning the school's energy needs. The primary source for heating and cooling is the geothermal system. So there are some supplemental sources of heating and cooling, but primarily it's all geothermal, which is why we had such a low energy coefficient. So I can't say exactly how much, what the ratio is, but it's pretty much all geothermal. And we will not be generating excess energy. I mean, it's a closed system, so it's all contained within the building. We have made accommodations for future solar, so potentially at some point in the future, if we want to add solar panels to the system, we have accommodated that, and there's some potential sell back of that energy source.
Are there any funds that are for these projects? I think most of them were funded by the MLO override or the bond elections or whatnot. Is there anything that might change as a result of the changing in funding from the pandemic because of the changing budget structure at the state level?
Yeah, again, I think that's a Matt question.
As far as the bond goes, we would not see, we don't expect to see any change in the bond. Because that money, when we thankfully passed the bond, when we were able to go to the sell, we decided as a district at that time to sell all the bonds all at once. We had a choice of to sell those off in segments, but we made the choice to sell them all at once, which I'm glad we did at that time. I think it showed a good choice because of the premium that we received on those bonds. So that has helped us also kind of absorb the 2-year delay we had because of the legal issues that we were having. We did see escalated costs to our projects because of that delay. So by selling all the bonds all at once and getting the advantage of that premium, that's helped us kind of absorb that. As far as the general budget adjustments because of the COVID-19 issues and other things, I don't know that I'm the right person to ask that question to. That would be more of a Dave Montoya, our finance director, executive director of finance, that he would probably be better suited to answer that.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for being with us today. We really appreciate it. It's good to hear the update on things. My husband taught and coached for 40 years in Poudre School District, so it's something near and dear to my heart, and both my kids are products of the school district. So as I know, many of us in our club, our children and grandchildren are products of our district. So it's good to see the changes that are happening. My guess is that we'll very quickly outgrow all of the facilities that are already in play.
Well, we'll look forward to that moment. I think that'd be a nice thing, especially in the times we're in. Thank you for having us. To mirror your statement, Rotary is something near and dear to my heart. I'm a past president from a Rotary club out of state. I've always enjoyed my time with Rotary, and it's great to be at a meeting once again and see the great things that you're doing and hear about that. So,
well, great. Well, Matt, come back and Matt, come back and join us. We welcome previous Rotarians.
You might make me treasure. That's scary.
No, I promise I won't do that. Not for a couple years. So I'm sorry.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. Thank you both. We will be making a donation to the Book Trust. We fund a classroom at Putnam Elementary through the Book Trust, and so we will be making a donation in your name as part of our contribution in that. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank all of you.
Appreciate that.